What's up, Toronto cyclists? I'm gonna try and convince you all to get like road bikes for cycling. Because they're just great. Because Toronto's roads are basically ready for them. We're ready for them with a little bit of bike handling skill, and because they let you carry a really heavy backpack really easily because you're like horizontal. They let you beat the wind. They let you. They're the most efficient in terms of transferring your power to the ground, so you can go further on a racing bike and faster with less effort than on anything else. And so for that reason alone, I recommend it, just to maximize your range and minimize your repetitive strain injury, minimize your sweat, your muscle fatigue, whatever, all that type of stuff. It's like I see a lot of people in Toronto biking around on big cruisers and on mountain bikes and stuff like that, and I can understand why that's great. But I'd suggest if you're doing that, frickin' hook up an electric motor to it, and you'll be able to catch up with me and reach like I do, because I do 17 kilometers a day. It's really easy. It's like, it's all good, and there's no way I've never done that with any of my other bikes. Even like when I've converted a road bike to be kind of a cruiser and it still has narrow tires and stuff like that, I can still kind of do the distance, but not as well. And not with a single speed, it's a little annoying. So like I want to suggest old steel frame road bikes, like racing bikes, with the curly handlebars, road bikes, touring bikes, whatever. My bike is a touring bike. It's a little bit big for me, that's fine. It's an old 80s steel frame rally, early 80s Canadian construction. I found it at Bike Pirates. This is the kind of stuff that you can find for like $150, something like that. And you just make sure that the three parts of the frame where stuff goes through it, so that where the seat post goes into the frame, where the between the pedals connects with the frame, that's the bottom bracket, and the headset, which is where where your handlebars sort of go through the frame to your forks and stuff. If those 3 points are okay, and you can tell by like feeling it or opening up or just being like, did you do this, and trusting the person, then you're all good. Maybe get a welder to touch up the spots, because some of those weld points are kind of just too small, and they bust open. But I suggest steel, because if you're getting something secondhand and you don't know its metal stress history, then you don't really want to get a type of material that suffers from structural fatigue too much. And so steel is a good metal in that it doesn't really experience metal fatigue. There can be weak points in the welding. There can be whatever. There can be spots where there's just not enough actual metal and it's been eaten through and stuff like that. It can bust open. But generally an old steel frame will just bend and then bend some more and then bend some more and then bend and bend and bend and then finally kind of not really break, but just bend to the point where it's all messed up. Like my fork on my bike is bent a little bit and I notice it and whatever, and I'll replace the fork or I'll bend it back into place or whatever. But because it's steel, I can do that. If you get something secondhand and it's aluminum, then it could just like disintegrate under you right away. So that goes for all your parts too. If you've got a bike that's old secondhand steel, and you're putting parts on it, stuff like that. And this goes for everything. If it's aluminum, try to get it new, or know the history of know that it hasn't been dented or whatever, hasn't been suffering from crazy amounts of fatigue or something like that. With steel, you can just sort of assess it for what it feels like. So that's sort of starting out with the why of using a road bike on Toronto's roads. And then in terms of the how, it's you use first of all kind of your toes and the balls of your feet to propel yourself, to make contact with the pedals. And then you just kind of like, you balance yourself so that basically your weight is going onto your feet. You're just holding onto the handlebars, your seat's between your legs, just keeping the bike straight. And basically, and I recommend clips too for your feet. Clips that are easy to get in and out of, just like old school stirrups or whatever that'll fit whatever your shoes are, just so that you can kind of have your feet like this when you're pedaling, which helps a little bit. You can stand up a bit for where, like you're not relying on your bike to provide you any suspension, and you're just using your legs for suspension. You've got a big backpack or whatever. You're letting your bike bounce around, which is fine. If you got steel rims, if you got steel spokes, if you got a steel bike, even if it's a diamond frame bike, and I recommend a step-through bike if you want a little bit more steel suspension. But diamond bike, you're just sort of holding onto it, it's rattling around. You got your all your pressure going on your feet, and you got your knees bent. You're pedaling or you're coasting or whatever. You got your hands on your handlebars like this, with your index fingers on your brakes. That's how you're going to spend most of your time on your bike, and it's just so efficient. It's just so easy. And you kind of just let your front end just drop down a little bit. So you're basically horizontal, and it's comfy. It's fine. You do shoulder checks like that, and over your shoulder like this. You can see everything. It's great. You can sit up and kind of and put your hands on the horizontal position on the bars, and just pedal like that. So you can still, you want to get a bike that allows you to do that whole range of positions. So the distance from the handlebars to the seat, right, and the width of the handlebar, everything like this is such, and the size of the curliness, right, is such that you can get as horizontal as is super comfortable, which is totally horizontal, and you can get as vertical as you want, right, on the same bike. And that's the cool thing about these things, is when you want to be high up and like that, you can be. When you want to be down and efficient and carrying a big heavy load on your back without really feeling the weight too much, and in a really ergonomic way for your muscles, like this is why road bikes have been like this for such a long time, is like they've helped win wars because they're like this, because people can just tote 40 kgs in a bag for 20 kilometers and then break for lunch, do another 20k, and it's completely silent and it's easy and it's whatever, and you don't barely have to maintain it all. So first of all, get one of those old bikes, or get a nice new road bike with you want to, if you have your choice, get something with a cassette on the back. That's the gear on the back. You want the biggest cog to be pretty big. So you want the easy end of your gearing range to be really easy, like a mountain bike. You want the hard end to be really, really, really hard, so that you can get up to like 40k on a nice, super flat stretch, or so you can take advantage of hills and stuff like that. And I know it sounds a little scary to beginners and stuff, but once you get to a certain point on these bikes, say after a year of using them, it's not scary, because you really you get so much control. You're just like, once you learn the feel of it and stuff, it's just not that scary, and it's really cool to be able to, you can, anyway. So if you're getting a secondhand bike and then you're refurbishing it, try to grab a cassette with at least one, massive cog on the end. Add a couple links to your chain if you have to. Change your rear derailleur if you have to. Mine is a little bit too close, where when I'm on the big gear on the back and I'm on the small gear on the front, the derailleur kind of basically goes right up against my big cog on the back, but it's not doing anything bad to it, so it's fine. But if I was concerned, I'd just put on a longer derailleur that puts more distance between the closest wheel on the derailleur and the frame, and put some more links in my chain or whatever. I have a fairly compact derailleur, and I like it. It's fine. So that's one really good thing. Just, you get an old racing bike, put a new cassette on the back, and just see if it works, and it might just go ahead and work. You might have to tweak the chain, you might have to tweak the derailleur, but try and find a cassette where you don't have to do that type of stuff, and you can really be laughing. In terms of, when you're in traffic and you're starting out at intersections and stuff, you want to keep your lead because you're going to be going faster than everybody else. Like, I go faster than everybody else, and I don't work out as much. Like, I'm just like... not really breaking a sweat, not really, like, I'm bouncing a little bit because I'm, like, letting my thighs open up and whatever on the... And it's, like, the whole leg. It's, like, the thighs, the calves, the ankles, the arches of your foot. They all go into this big stroke each time, so you want to take advantage of each one of those muscles, and then you just get aerodynamic, and you can sustain 30 kilometers an hour with the same amount of energy and the same amount of control, the same amount of safety as you'd normally be doing 15. It's amazing. It's just so nice to be able to do this. So I'm gonna finally go to Mike the Bike's page and just gonna do some bike shopping. Mike the Bike is a good place to go. Oh, right away! Look at this! Right away, they got what I'm talking about. So that's, if you don't want curly handlebars, he's got this type of stuff. Where's his frickin'? Okay. This guy's super duper nice too. See, this is a great commuter bike. This is like a road bike-ish type of thing, but without the curly bars. I like the curly bars because they let me get horizontal. I like a high seat because they let me get horizontal. It's just more comfortable. It's so much more comfortable, but if you don't want it, then don't get it. Oh my gosh, he's only got one bike for sale? Dude, don't do this to me. Fuck, man. Mike, what's going on, buddy? No. Kind of. No. This is kind of... Okay, so let's just see what we got on Kijiji right now. Road bike. Okay. That's not a road bike. That's a road bike. No, that's bullshit. Carbon. It's several $1,000s. I'm going to try and limit the... Posted by... Oh, lowest first. Super... What are you freaking kidding me? Oh my... Oh. Oh, God, weird. Man, shoot, I should probably get in on this business because... Here we go. Okay, look at this. $400? Are you kidding me? $160. Okay, all right. 6-speed cruiser commuter city bike. Excellent. Okay, good. Get this bike. If you're a short dude, and then you might have to get a longer seat for it. God, whoever gets this bike is just going to end up cruising around at like 14 kilometers an hour. Is this the bike that I sold? No. Oh, get this one. Okay, this is not a ladies' road bike at all. It's not a ladies' road bike. It is a road bike, but actually what it is a mixtie. I'll show you what this is all about. So mixties are this kick-ass. It's a... Like, all bikes are kind of basically genderless, but these are intentionally genderless. And people just think they're ladies' bikes. And these things are fast. They're super convenient because you can kind of step through them a little bit. Like, it's not like a real step through where it's easy to just put your leg through there and dismount without flinging your leg over the damn back of the damn bike. But it's still, it's good. So these things I definitely recommend. Keep the curly bars on. I keep, in the past, I've replaced the curly bars with like cruiser bars or riser bars or something like that. And whatever, you can do that, it's great. But seriously, you just end up wanting that, like, you seriously want to keep the curly bars on. Because they're basically both. Kind of. Not really, but they're both. Almost, not really, but... Just get a cruiser and a road bike. Okay, that's what you got to do. And then when you got energy to spare and stuff like that, you ride your cruiser. And then when you want to be super efficient, you want to go super duper far, then you ride your road bike. That's what I need to do. I need to get a cruiser again because it's super great. I need to get jailbreak my own cruiser because I lost the key again, of course. Look at this cutie. See, there's so many good mixties, so I would recommend buying this right now if it fits you, even if it doesn't, because for the city it's sort of nice to have a nice little compact bike. You can always add a longer seat. You can always put a different seat on it that puts you further back. These things are beautiful. See, check it out. It's already a fairly big cassette on the back. You could easily swap that up for a mountain bike cassette or just one where the last cog is a hill helper. I think you can even just replace individual cogs on there to customize your drivetrain even further. And I'm talking about all this geeky stuff, but this is all stuff that you can just go to Bike Pirates or go to the Community Bike Network type of places and... oh shoot, I lost that page. And just ask them. Just be like, so how do I widen up my drivetrain so that I can have more gears? Let's see here. Sweet Pete's, that's all new stuff. If you're going new, just go in and ask them about this type of stuff. Ooh, Bike Depot. See, I'm looking at the super cheap end of the spectrum because I'm also saying in the further sort of how-to category, you will want to get yourself a bike lock right away. So just get it. Either get your bike, bring your bike to Mac, borrow one of their bike locks, and then whatever. Or cycling gear. Then they'll let you buy a lock, but just get the lock first. I know you want to get the right lock for your bike, but really just... Oh my god, Mac, why are you so nasty? Why are you so... I already freaking searched for this. Don't get this. Don't get that. Okay. Get this. Just get this. You can bash this stuff off and it'll look a lot better. This is just plastic crap. So you can just take that off. It looks nice underneath. The cable is not for your frame. You just put it through. I've got this... God, I'd love to show you. I basically have a super elite way of locking one of these locks through not only my rear wheel and my frame, but also through my front, the front part of my drivetrain. So you literally can't turn the cranks, you can't turn the rear wheel, and you can't separate either of those things from the frame. And it's just floop. But you use this to either lock your wheel to your frame or lock your frame to your bike lockup thing, and then you use the cable to go through your wheels so nobody thieves your wheels, and go through if you're leaving your helmet with your bike, go through your helmet. If you're leaving your some bag with your bike with some worthless crap in it or something like that, you can use that to go through your bag so it's all together. So the cable's great. You can wind the cable through the stuff that you need to protect and then sort of wind it, and there's lots of videos on that and whatever. But grab yourself one of these. So what I'm saying is the cheapest you can do this really good. Don't get this. Don't get that. Well, get that, but don't use it to lock your bike up. Don't use that. Don't use this. Do not do this. Don't do these. Just don't. Okay, I'm so sick of hearing people complain about their bike being stolen after spending, and I know I'm victim blaming here, but don't do this at all when you can do this. See, $35, and that thing's actually pretty hard to open. It's not impossible, and it's a little heavy, but that's the cheapest end of it. If you want to be like me, then spend $80 on your lock and $200 on your bike, but that's not all I spent. I spent like I spent in total like $350 to start out on this secondhand bike, including the lock. But I already had that lock from like way back in the day. That's been serving me for the past several bikes. So me spending $80 on a lock, that was just me upgrading from like a heavy and awesome lock to a light and awesome lock, and double the price. And then just me using that other heavy lock on my other heavier bike, right? So my heavy cheap lock is for my heavy cheap cruiser, and my somewhat more expensive light lock is for my twice as expensive super light lock is for my twice as expensive super fast road bike. So that's what you do. When you're in terms of using a road bike in traffic and stuff, when you want to be seen, you just sit up and look around and whatever, and you sort of slalom a little bit back and forth and whatever. You got a light on the back, light on the front, and you do you express yourself, and you can do a nice little track stand. You sort of don't, if you got to stop in an intersection, don't stop at the intersection. Stop like back from the intersection and just sort of like advance a little bit, so you don't have to unclip from your pedals. You don't have to stop. You don't have to put your foot down. You don't have to do anything. You just kind of float, and then by the time everybody's going through the intersection, you're with traffic and you're in front of and behind drivers instead of like next to them and sandwiched between them and whatever. So you can do things on your terms, and it's just so nice to commute with a racing bike, because you can do 30 so easily that you don't care about yielding to anybody. You don't care about losing time or something like that, because you're like, I'll just hit a straight stretch and that'll be it. Like all these cyclists who are slowing me down and stuff, I'll just go into the other lane when there's no cars and I'll be past them right away. I can you can practically hit the green wave with traffic sometimes. No, you can't. Maybe you can. I don't know. Whatever. But anyway, it's really lovely. You do have to pay attention to the surface of the road, but road bike wheels can handle quite a bit. If you keep your tire pressure way up, and what I recommend is there's this bike shop in the annex. I think it's Curbside Cycle. I'm pretty sure it's Curbside Cycle. And behind this bike shop, they have like an air compressor. Yeah, this is it. So behind this bike shop, they have this air compressor in the back alley. And this is really a great promotional thing that they do, but it's also really good for the cycling community. Because it's set up to offer, see, there's somebody pumping up their bike. It's set up so that you just keep, at least on a road bike, you just keep pushing air into your wheel, and then it stops when it's like the right pressure. Basically it stops at like 70, 75, 80 psi or something like that. So especially when it gets cold, when the weather goes from warm to cold, and the oxygen in your tires like shrinks a little bit and they get a little softer, go in there, do this, just make your bike stiff and whatever, not completely stiff but somewhat stiff, and then just like hold on to it, have straps on your pedals so that you can kind of do you're sort of doing like a moonwalk type of thing on your pedals, and sort of almost pedaling on your toes for stability, and using your legs and your knees and your ankles for suspension instead of trying to use your bike for suspension or trying to add suspension to your seat. Part of the reason I like this is because it's really ergonomic when you're taking on a whole bunch of shimmying or whatever, because as soon as my butt's off my seat, I'm not getting smashed in the lower back with a whole bunch of like even no matter what bike I've had, even a full suspension bike, it still delivers shock to your lower back that your knees would be better at absorbing. So I'm sorry, but I don't feel like commuting around sitting upright on a nice padded seat with a bike with a lot of suspension and low PSI on the tires and stuff so that it's really smooth, I'm still just bouncing around like a bus driver, and it's still dumb as hell. I'd rather just be floating, just floating, just moonwalking through traffic. I mean, I'm super cool. My commute is the best in the city. Nobody's as fast as I am. Join me, and our path towards transportation equality will be complete.